Funny how some small towns in the US survive on legends. While others take pride in monuments, parks, or museums, certain towns only have an old bridge, a silent forest, and a bunch of stories that locals swear are real. And I don't know what's scarier, believing in those legends or realizing that, deep down, some of them are based on real blood. Today, you're going to hear about the Dead Man's Bridge, a place that carries more than just hauntings. It carries the scars of people who never made it back home. So get ready. Because this isn't just a legend, it's also a story of a real murder, woven into cold nights, footsteps behind you, and a shadow that should never have been there. Its real name was just Cedar Creek Bridge, but no one in town called it that. To everyone, from the old men drinking coffee at the gas station to the teenagers who went there to dare each other, it was Dead Man's Bridge. They said that, in the 1950s, a drunk trucker lost control and fell into the river, trapped in his cabin as the icy water swallowed him. They also said that decades later, a high school boy hanged himself there, leaving a note written in nosebleed blood. And of course, there was a woman who was last seen walking on the bridge on a winter night but never made it home. With each generation, the story changed. But one thing remained the same: the feeling that, when you were alone on that bridge, someone was walking right behind you. My name is Rachel Turner, 23, born and raised in Rockford, Ohio. I never paid attention to the legend, but when you grow up hearing the same stories, they stick to your skin without you realizing it. That night, it wasn't curiosity that brought me to the bridge. It was vengeance. My cousin, Aaron, had disappeared 3 months earlier. The police closed the case as a voluntary disappearance, but I knew that wasn't it. He left everything behind: wallet, phone, car, and the last message he sent me said only, "Meet me at the bridge. I need to tell you something." He never came back. I drove to the entrance of the dirt road that led to the bridge. The clock read 11:47 p.m. The sky was overcast, but it wasn't raining. Just that silence that makes it feel like the entire world has stopped breathing. I left the car and walked, a flashlight in my hand. The road was narrow, flanked by dry trees that moved in the slightest wind like arms reaching for anyone passing by. Every step seemed to echo, and I tried not to think about what would happen if the flashlight suddenly went out. After a few minutes, the bridge appeared in front of me. It was old, wooden, with rusted railings. The river ran dark beneath, emitting only a low murmur. It was the kind of place where you already feel you shouldn't be even before you cross. I stopped in the middle of the bridge, trying to take a deep breath. "Aaron?" My voice came out weak, almost swallowed by the wind. "If you're here..." Nothing, just the sound of the water. Then I heard it. Footsteps. My heart raced. I swung the flashlight, illuminating the wooden path back toward the road. It was empty. Not a living soul, but the footsteps kept getting closer. The wooden bridge creaked as if someone were really walking right behind me. I swallowed hard, trying to rationalize. Maybe the wind, maybe an animal. But when I turned again to the other side, I saw it. A silhouette. It was tall, thin, and seemed covered in a kind of dense shadow. I couldn't make out a face, clothes, or details. Just a dark, unmoving shape a few meters away from me. "Who's there?" I shouted, trying to sound firm, but my voice trembled. The figure didn't respond. It just tilted its head, as if studying me. And then slowly, it raised an arm and pointed toward the river. A chill ran down my entire spine. "What do you want from me?" I asked. No answer. I ran to the end of the bridge but stopped dead when I heard a scream, loud and desperate, coming from the river. It was Aaron's voice. I would recognize it anywhere. "Rachel!" The scream echoed, choked by the water. "Help me!" The flashlight shook in my hand as I ran back to the center of the bridge, looking down. But there was nothing, just dark water. No head emerging, no struggling body, only the sound. I brought the flashlight close to the side of the bridge, where the railings were worn. Then I saw it. Scratches on the wood, crude letters, made with fingernails, maybe. "Help." My breath caught. This wasn't a legend, but the question, Burning in my mind was, who was he asking for help? I didn't sleep that night. I closed my eyes, but every time the silence took over, I heard the footsteps behind me, the unmoving silhouette, and Aaron's voice calling me from the river. When the sun finally rose, something inside me wouldn't let me stay home. I had to go back. The weak autumn sun illuminated every detail: the rotting wood, the rust marks on the railing, the lazy brown river flowing below. Everything seemed mundane, ordinary, almost normal. I knelt near the part of the wood where I had seen the scratch the night before. The letters were still there. Help. I ran my fingers over them and felt the roughness of the marks. They were real, and they weren't alone. There were others, older, almost erased. Confused drawings, symbols I didn't recognize, as if someone had tried to write something and gave up, or had been interrupted. A man was approaching along the road. Tall, sun-tanned skin, stubble on his face. He wore a faded hunting jacket and mud-stained boots. "You shouldn't be here, Missy," he said in a low, drawling voice. "This bridge isn't a place for curiosity." I was just looking," I replied, trying to sound casual. "Are you from around here?" He shrugged. "I live nearby. I see people show up here from time to time. Usually they don't last long." "What do you mean?" I asked. He just stared at me, a cold smile on his face. "I'm just saying, sometimes the bridge chooses who stays." A chill ran through my entire body. "Have you met a boy named Aaron Turner? He was here a few months ago." The smile vanished. The man narrowed his eyes. "You'd better not ask questions, girl. If your cousin got lost here, it's because he wanted to." Without another word, he turned and started walking back down the road, disappearing into the trees. I stood frozen, my heart pounding. Was it just my imagination? Or did that man know more than he was letting on? I went back home confused, but determined. That night, I searched Aaron's room. After almost 2 hours of digging, I found it. A spiral notebook, coverless, with the first pages torn out. The notes were scribbles, as if Aaron had written too fast, afraid of forgetting. The bridge is older than they say. It's not just an accident. Someone uses the river. If I don't come back, look for the symbols. The last lines were more chaotic, as if written at night, trembling letters. "It's not a legend. He kills and the bridge hides." I swallowed, hard, a cold shiver down my spine. Aaron hadn't just heard stories. He'd been investigating. And what if he had uncovered something far too dangerous? The next day, I went to the town library. I asked for editions from the 1950s and 60s, the earliest years of the bridge's stories. I spent hours leafing through reports of accidents, floods, disappearances, until I found it. An article from 1954. Driver found dead under Cedar Creek Bridge. Police suspect accident caused by excessive alcohol. The face was covered, but what caught my attention was something else. The side of the bridge, still new, already had scratches and carved marks, symbols, the same ones I'd seen next to the word help. And it wasn't just that accident. Every decade, at least 3 disappearances tied to the bridge, mostly young people, all filed away as runaways or unexplained tragedies. The bridge was an open-air graveyard, and Aaron had discovered it. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a legend that scared teenagers. There was someone alive, someone human, making sure the story of Dead Man's Bridge never faded. But instead of backing down, something inside me hardened. If someone wanted me to stop, it meant Aaron had really found something dangerous. And if he paid the price for it, I couldn't just turn my back. The next morning, I went back to the library, but this time I asked for police records. The librarian, a white-haired woman with tiny glasses, looked at me like she was dealing with an inconveniently curious girl. She brought me boxes of yellowed files, rusty staples, loose pages. I spent hours buried in papers, and a pattern began to emerge. The deaths and disappearances linked to the bridge weren't isolated accidents. Always 6 to 7 years apart, always young people, always in autumn. It was almost as if the bridge had a cycle, a macabre calendar. And 2022, the year Aaron disappeared. My heart pounded. He hadn't just been another victim of chance. He was part of a ritual. By late afternoon, I decided to return to the road. The hunter I'd met the day before seemed far too suspicious to be a coincidence. His cabin wasn't hard to find. A dark wooden structure hidden among pine trees, with an old pickup parked out front. I crept around the yard and approached carefully. The windows were dirty, but through a cracked pane I managed to look inside, and what I saw made my blood run cold. On the wall, pinned like trophies, were newspaper clippings, all about the, bridge. Every accident, every death, every disappearance. And in the center, drawn in red paint, the symbol, a circle crossed by a vertical line. The same symbol from the note, the same carved into the bridge's wood. He was collecting the bridge's stories, feeding on them. A snapping twig broke my trance. The man was coming back. I bolted into the trees, my heart pounding so hard it felt like the sound would give me away. He opened the cabin door, stepped inside whistling, and for a moment, I thought I'd escaped. But then I heard his voice. "You can come out now. I know someone's spying on me." I froze behind a tree. He stepped into the yard, a shotgun slung over his shoulder. His eyes scanned the woods calmly, like a man used to hunting more than animals. "The bridge is hungry, girl," he murmured loud enough for me to hear. "And sometimes it chooses who to feed on." I stayed still, holding my breath until he went back inside. Only then did I manage to run. At home, I returned to Aaron's notebook. This time, I tried to decipher the scribbles that had seemed meaningless before. On one of the final pages, I found something I hadn't noticed, a drawing of the same symbol. Beside it, Aaron had written, "He keeps, he kills. The man is not just a man, he is the bridge's guardian." I tucked the notebook and the note away with trembling hands. Aaron knew. Aaron had seen. And now, so had I. It was past midnight when I heard it, a metallic sound coming from the hallway. Scratching, dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. I got up slowly, silently, opened the bedroom door and peeked out. Nothing. Empty hallway. But the sound continued, not from outside, from inside the walls. As if someone was moving between the house's bones, whispering, scratching, waiting for me to open the way. I ran back to my room and locked the door, but even with the bolt, I heard one last sound, 3 slow knocks, dull, against my door. I woke up to my phone vibrating, and new, unknown number. I answered with a hoarse voice. "Hello?" Silence on the other end. Then heavy breathing. And then a voice that seemed to mix the hunter's deep tone with Aaron's whisper. "You shouldn't have returned to the bridge." The call dropped. I sat on the bed, heart racing, with the feeling that every step I took was bringing me closer to the same darkness that had taken Aaron. But in that moment, I realized there was no turning back. If I wanted answers, I would have to go back. And this time, find out what the bridge was really hiding. The wind howled as I decided to return. It was as if the forest itself was trying to push me away, but a stronger force inside me drove me forward. Fear was no longer enough to keep me home. Aaron deserved someone to see it through to the end. I grabbed a flashlight, his notebook, and shoved a kitchen knife into my backpack. Ridiculous, I knew, but somehow it made me feel less helpless. The dirt road was darker than ever, covered in shadows from the twisted trees. Each step echoed like a call, as if the bridge itself knew I was coming back. When I arrived, the air felt heavier. The bridge seemed different from that first night, more alive, more hungry. The symbol was still carved into the railing, but there was something new. Handprints, dirt-streaked, scattered across the wooden planks, marks that looked fresh. I pressed the flashlight to my chest and moved forward. In the middle of the bridge, I heard it, a sharp crack, like wood, giving way under an invisible weight. Shining the flashlight into the darkness, I saw a figure standing at the far end of the bridge. Tall, thin, motionless. My knees almost gave out. The figure took a step forward, and the light revealed something that made my stomach turn. It was Aaron. Or rather, something wearing his face. Pale skin, hollow eyes, as if he had been pulled from the river and stitched back to life. He looked at me expressionless, but his mouth opened in a barely audible whisper. "You shouldn't have come." Before I could react, I felt another movement behind me. I spun around, flashlight shaking in my hand. It was the hunter, worn jacket, shotgun slung over his shoulder. He walked calmly, as if he already knew I would be there. "I warned you, girl," he said with a half smile. "The bridge chooses. The bridge always chooses." "What did you do to him?" I screamed, my voice breaking. He laughed. "I only guard. The bridge takes. It demands blood. I only follow the cycle." My heart pounded so hard I could barely hear. Aaron, or what was left of him, still stared at me, unmoving, like a puppet held by invisible strings. The hunter pulled a lighter from his pocket and lit a small flame. The light illuminated the symbol carved into the bridge railing, and before my eyes, it began to glow red, as if drawn with fire. "See," he said, "it's older than us, older than this town." "This is madness," I shouted, taking a step back. "No, girl, this is tradition." He pointed the shotgun at me, but didn't fire. It seemed he was waiting for me to take the next step. Suddenly, the river beneath the bridge began to bubble. The water, once calm and dark, churned as if something enormous was moving below. Out of nowhere, a pale arm emerged, then another, then dozens of hands reaching up, trying to grasp the planks of the bridge. Bodies, faces warped by water, ancient victims trapped in the cycle. Aaron looked down, and for a moment, it seemed he was fighting, against the invisible force holding him there. "Rachel, run," he whispered, before being dragged back by invisible hands into the darkness. The hunter approached me, shotgun still in hand. "It's simple, girl. Either you accept the cycle, or you join them." I swallowed hard, stepping back until the cold railing pressed against my back. There was no way out. But then I remembered the knife in my backpack. I also remembered Aaron's words in the notebook. "The Guardian is not just a man. He is the key." With a swift movement, I pulled the knife and lunged at him. He wasn't expecting it. The blade sank into his shoulder, and he howled in pain, stumbling backward. The shotgun fell to the ground, sliding near the glowing symbol. For a moment, I thought I had won. But then, before my eyes, the hunter began to change. His skin shrank, his eyes sank, his mouth stretched beyond human limits. The thing before me was no longer a man. It was something ancient, hungry, using borrowed flesh to move. Among us. It lunged again, and I only had time to grab the shotgun from the ground. I aimed with trembling hands and fired. The sound echoed through the forest, and his body collapsed to his knees, then fell onto the bridge planks. For a second, the symbol stopped glowing. The hands emerging from the river receded. Silence fell. But I knew it wasn't over. I gripped the shotgun, trying to steady my breathing, and then I heard it. A low, whispered voice, clear as if right beside me. He was never the only guardian. The flashlight flickered, the symbol glowed again, and I felt, more than heard, footsteps approaching from the far end of the bridge. It wasn't just a legend. It wasn't just a killer. It was something far greater. And I was in the middle of the ritual. The silence that followed was worse than the gunshot. The bridge seemed suspended in time, as if every fiber of wood was holding its breath with me. The hunter's body lay still, but the symbol on the railing still pulsed red, like an open wound. And the footsteps didn't stop. The flashlight trembled, revealing a figure slowly emerging from the other end of the bridge. It was a woman, in an old black dress, long hair wet, clinging to a pale face. But her eyes were empty abysses, reflecting only the darkness of the water. "He fell too soon," she said, in a voice that seemed to come from underwater. "But there is always another guardian, always." I swallowed hard, trying to hold the shotgun steady in my hands. "What do you want from me?" She tilted her head like a broken doll. "We want nothing. The bridge wants." Behind her, the river began to foam red. A metallic smell filled the air, strong enough to make me gag. It was blood. The entire river seemed to turn into a sea of living blood, bubbling as if boiling. From the midst of that crimson mass, faces emerged, twisted, screaming silently. I recognized some I had seen in the library files: missing youths, ancient victims, and among them, Aaron's face. He tried to open his mouth, but the current pulled him back. My stomach churned. The scream got stuck in my throat. The woman reached out to me. Her fingers were too long, her skin dripping like melted wax. "You have a choice," she said, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. "Become the guardian, or join them." My heart hammered in my chest. She wanted me to replace the hunter, to be the bridge's new offering of living flesh. Aaron's notebook fell from my backpack, open, to a marked page. "The cycle only ends when the guardian no longer guards." The words hit me like a shock. He had tried to break the cycle, and he paid for it. Now it was my turn. I raised the shotgun, aiming at the woman. She laughed, a distorted sound, full of echoes. "You cannot kill what is already dead." But I didn't shoot her. I aimed at the railing of the bridge, at the symbol. The shot thundered through the night. The planks shivered. The symbol cracked, splitting like glass. For a moment, the woman screamed. Not a human scream, but a high-pitched, deafening sound, like twisting iron. The river bubbled violently, arms and faces thrashing in desperation. And then, silence. The woman vanished. The hunter's body dissolved into dust. The river returned to just dark water. I fell to my knees, gasping. The bridge was quiet, as if it had fallen asleep. But inside me, something told me this was not a victory. Aaron's notebook was still on the ground. I picked it up with trembling hands. On the last page, words I swear weren't there before appeared before my eyes. "Breaking the cycle is not destroying the bridge. It is becoming the next link." My blood ran cold. The skin on my arm burned, and when I pulled up my sleeve, I saw the symbol marked in red, etched into my flesh as if burned there. I had stopped the ritual, but in doing so, the bridge chose me. Days later, the town talked about strange noises in the forest. Some swore they saw red lights on the bridge. Others said they heard footsteps in the middle of the night. I didn't return home. I couldn't. I wandered near the bridge, watching, listening, waiting. And when the first curious person appeared, a teenage girl with a flashlight, filming videos for the internet, I was there. I watched her cross the creaking wood, laughing as if it were just a game. And I felt, on the skin marked by the symbol, the hunger of the bridge awakening again. I write these words not as a victim, but as a confession. I did not choose. The bridge chose. If you ever hear about Dead Man's Bridge, do not go there. And if you do, pray that I am not waiting. And that is how the legend never dies. It only changes face, Guardian, the flesh that keeps it alive. If you've made it this far, remember, the scariest stories are not just legends. They are cycles waiting for the next victim. If you want to share your own strange, bizarre, or supernatural story from your town, send it to us. Who knows? The next guardian may be closer than you think, and the next curse could be on your street. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give your like. And most importantly, never cross a bridge alone at night, because the reflection in the water may not be yours. Until the next story.